Welcome to our webinar. Brought to you by Ari Lacron Architects and Champion Builders. This will be a presentation of the process of working together with an architect and a home builder. James Lacron is a licensed architect in California and Hawaii. He was a resident of Pacific Palisades from 1960 through 1990. Karen Ari Lacron is a licensed architect in California and was also a resident of Pacific Palisades. Robert Niesner is a licensed contractor with over 45 years of experience. He is a resident of Malibu and has worked with James and Karen on many projects. What is the best process for finding an architect and a home builder? You should select an architect as soon as possible to avoid long delays in the rebuilding process. You can begin by talking with friends and other people that you know for any personal recommendations. You can research architects online. Architects should have a good website with detailed descriptions of their work and their services. Your local Chamber of Commerce should have a website with a directory of architects who are members. You can narrow down your search by selecting candidates whose work you like based on similar projects they have completed. You should review their qualifications and experience. Are they licensed and insured? How long have they been in business? Do they do projects of the scope and style you are looking for? Do they have local knowledge and experience? Once you have selected some architects you like, you should interview them to see if you like their personalities. You will be working with them closely to design a new home for you, so you need to know if they will listen to your needs and desires to get you what you want. You should also select a builder soon in the design process. You will need a builder to construct your new home once the design is complete. Hiring a builder during the design phase will keep the budget in line and assure their availability for construction. Finding a builder is the same as finding an architect. Start by asking friends and others for referrals. Your architect can refer a builder. This is the best way to go, as the architect should already have a good working relationship with a builder to bring to the project. Your builder should be experienced with local construction and have all the qualifications necessary to construct your new home. As you did when selecting an architect, you should interview builders to see if their personality is a good fit for you, as you will be working closely together for the next 1 or 2 years. Once you have selected an architect, they will provide professional services in phases. The first phase is pre-design. In this phase, the architect will do research of the site and codes and ordinances that will apply to your project. You will work with your architect to develop a program of what you want your new house to be, such as size, number of rooms, architectural styles you like, etc. The next phase is design, where the architect will develop the floor plan and architectural style of your new home. Once the design is complete, the architect and engineers will prepare the detailed technical plans for construction. These plans will be submitted to the government for plan check and permits. Once permits are issued, your builder can begin the construction of your new home. Let's take this project as an example. This is a rebuild project from the Malibu Woolsey fire. The first task is the pre-design phase. First, we do research to determine and document the size of the previous house. This is important because most government planning departments are allowing expedited plan check and permits to rebuild the same size home, plus an increase of 10% if desired. The new home can be located in the same general footprint location on the site, even if it is non-conforming to any new regulations. The first thing we will need is a detailed site survey prepared by a licensed surveyor. Your architect will assist in finding a surveyor if you have not already done this. In this case, the survey was done after the foundation was removed, so there was no record of where the previous house footprint was located. This is in contrast to a survey that was done for a rebuild in Ventura after the Thomas fire. This survey was done before the foundation was removed, so there was a clear record of the previous house location. This made it much easier to obtain approval from the planning department for the new house footprint. The Malibu project did not show the previous footprint, so we had to get creative to document the location. There were no records at the city showing the previous house. not even any permits documenting that the house even existed. We were, however, able to find an old floor plan of the previous house. In this case, we used Google Earth to show where the house was destroyed. Google Earth has a timeline feature that we used to show the previous house. We then superimposed the scale footprint taken from the old floor plan and overlaid it on the photo. The Malibu Planning Department allowed this to determine the location for the new house footprint. This allowed us to prepare a new site plan, showing the new house to be built in the same location as the previous home. A new floor plan for your new house is then developed by the architect during the design phase. Once a plan is developed during the design phase, 3D models are created. Different architectural styles can be explored. This house was begun as a Spanish or Mediterranean style, and then evolved into a more modern style of architecture, working closely with the owner's desires as the project progressed. We worked with champion builders from the beginning of the design phase. They prepared detailed preliminary cost estimates to keep the project on budget. Champion builders' preliminary cost estimates can take into account different levels of interior finish quality. This can help with budget decisions before the project has reached the completion of the design phase. Champion builders can also provide preliminary cost estimates for the exterior site work, such as pools and landscaping. Once you are happy with the final design of your new home, the project can move to the next phase. Your architect, together with structural and civil engineers, will prepare detailed construction plans. These plans are required for permits and for your builder to use them to construct your new home. These plans will be submitted to the government for plan check to obtain a building permit. Once a building permit is issued, construction can commence. Construction can take between 12 to 18 months or even longer, depending on the size and complexity of the project. It is always important to incorporate fire-resistant design and construction techniques in any new construction. Once the home is finished, it will all be worth it. The satisfaction of living in your brand new home will be a great feeling for years to come. Here is a recap of a projected timeline for a typical residential fire rebuild project. The pre-design phase takes about 1 month, followed by approximately 3 months for the design phase. The construction documents phase takes another 3 months. Plan check and permitting takes approximately 3 months as well. Once permits are issued, construction can take between 12 and 24 months, depending on the complexity and size of the project. You can expect the total project to take from 2 to 3 years to complete, start to finish. This is just an example, and timelines can vary greatly by the size and complexity of a project. This is an example of the estimated project costs for a new 3,000 square foot residence. Construction costs in Southern California average between $700 per square foot to over $1,200 per square foot, depending on the complexity of the structure and the quality of the finishes. For this example, we will use a target number of $950 per square foot. This gives us a target budget of $2,850,000 for the house itself. An attached 2-car garage of 500 square feet would cost approximately $400 per square foot, adding another $200,000. For site hardscape, walkways, driveway, patios, BBQs, etc., we add a budget of $300,000. For landscaping, we can add another $200,000. If you want a pool and spa, you can add a minimum of $150,000. This brings the subtotal of the projected construction cost to $3,700,000. Other project costs to consider are the pre-construction costs, also known as soft costs. These include a site survey and a soil or geology report. The architect is the largest of the soft costs. An architect typically charges a percentage of the construction costs. For this example, we are budgeting 8%, but it can vary and is negotiable depending on the size and complexity of the project and the level of services to be provided. Once the architect's fee is agreed to, it should be a flat fee, divided over the phases of the project. Other professionals that may be required are a landscape architect, civil engineer, structural engineer, and possibly a permit expediter. This consultant is optional, but can often speed up the permitting process. Permits are the final soft cost before construction begins. In this example, we are projecting approximately $489,000 of soft costs, which adds about 13% to the overall project budget. This brings the overall project cost to be $4,189,000. Thank you for viewing our webinar. We hope you found this information helpful as you begin your journey to rebuild. Please contact us for more information and to schedule a complimentary consultation. We offer discounted fees for those affected by the recent wildfires.